So, welcome everybody. Welcome to this wonderful 2-year course, or rather, it's a 2-year journey on Indian spiritual heritage. Those who are not familiar with this course, I think most of you are not familiar with this subject, and some of you are, of course. You have listened to quite a few of our talks on that YouTube channel of Indian spiritual heritage, and there are other channels like ISS Shorts, etc. You may find these talks little difficult because what passes off in the name of spirituality, Hindu dharma, Indian spiritual traditions, generally the diluted version of what true spirituality is. In this series of talks, we'll present before you what the scriptures say about spirituality, what the scriptures say about Hindu dharma, etc., etc. If you listen to just maybe 4 to 5 talks, you will start liking the subject. And I'm sure you will start loving the subject because that's what has happened. Many people who listen to our YouTube talks, they have said that initially they found it pretty difficult. But with time, once they started getting a feel of the subject, feel of the idea, they started liking it. And many of those listeners slowly became avid listener of our talks. Those who are listening live, quite a few of you are there, more than 100 it's showing. In fact, you will be happy to know that today we had this count and we have around 175 enrolled students. It's a pretty large number for such a serious course because it's a pretty serious course. If you have any question, you can ask those once the talk is over. And those of you who are listening the recorded version of this talk, if you have any question based strictly on the talk that has been delivered on a particular day, you can send your question to ishrkmveri@gmail.com. We will address those questions in the next talk, that is whenever we get it. Or if it's pretty personal, we may just reply directly on email. And just this small request. Please do not go out of the subject while asking the question, because there's just no end to asking questions about Hindu Dharma. A word about me. I'm Swami Samarpanananda, as you must be knowing by now. I'm a monk of the Ramakrishna Mission. I joined in 1980. This is my 45th year running, 45 years in the Ramakrishna Mission. And I've served at the various centers of the Ramakrishna Mission. Wherever I was asked to go, I went, and I've served the organization. In the process, I've interacted with many senior monks. I studied scriptures, and I learned at the feet of the masters. Indeed, masters. So whatever I'm saying, I will be saying either directly from the scriptures or from what I understood from the teachers with whom I was there, and most importantly, my own understanding, which is quite broad. Because 45 years is a long time, and I've been in studying the scriptures practically from the beginning. So we begin our talk with a simple prayer. It is shared with you. How to share it? Actually, I'm not very conversant with Zoom. I'm more YouTube type, so you will excuse me. Here we have Vikrami helps me. Oh, yes. So, uh, so we are getting crazy things. Can we change it? Hmm. Uh, we will begin all our classes with this Pranam mantra. You will see that the Pranam mantra is given in Sanskrit, and there is English transliteration of this. There's a special way of reading these transliteration, and here is the breakup. The meaning is wonderful. It begins with Om. Every prayer in Hindu tradition begins with Om. It says, may he protect us both, that means teacher and the student. And may he bestow upon us knowledge, which is the most important thing. May we both have the vigor to acquire knowledge. Rest you can read. So the prayer is Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. So with this, we begin our long series of talks. Now, before I get into the subject, you will see that I've shared the screen so that you can read whatever we are going to discuss. And this paper will be put in the Google Sheet. The link for that has been shared with you. If you go to the folder, you will see in the Google Sheet there are two sheets, Sheet 1, Sheet 2. And you must check those two sheets regularly. Now, before I begin, let me recount a very interesting experience that I had when I was pretty young. There was a very senior monk who had come to deliver a talk on religion and spirituality in Devghar. Devghar is in Jharkhand state, and we have a wonderful school there. It's ranked as one of the top 5 schools in India of the Central Board of Secondary Education. And this Swamiji, he was a very learned Swami and a great monk. He talked beautifully about Hindu Dharma and Vedanta, etc., etc. Then one young boy who was, I think, in class 8 or class 9, which means he was 13 or 14 years old, he got up to ask a very nice question that whatever Swamiji you have told, it's very nice. I just want to know that isn't Hinduism synonymous with religion? Well, the embarrassing thing is that the Swamiji who was speaking, he was slightly confused. He probably had never encountered that question. And even I kept thinking, is religion synonymous with Hinduism? Are these two terms synonymous? Why? Because those of you who are interested in the study of comparative religion will find that practically every book on comparative religion will mention that there is nothing, there is nothing in religion and spirituality with which Hindu religion has not toyed with. And practically there is nothing in Hindu, there is nothing in any religion which is outside of Hindu religion, barring a few things. And we will be mentioning that what are the things that Hinduism does not accept but other religions accept, and what's the reason behind it. More interestingly, those things were tinkered with in the most ancient scriptures of the Hindus, that is the Vedas. There itself you come across those things, but those ideas were dropped long ago. So, Hinduism is not really synonymous with religion. When it comes to spirituality, yes. There simply cannot be anything in spiritual world, in spirituality, that is outside of Hindu religion. Now, if you start asking questions, naturally, it will be difficult for me to answer everything, because that's why we have this 2 year course. In 80 talks, we will be explaining everything about Hindu religion and Hindu spirituality. And then you will realize that all the popular things that's going on in the name of religion and spirituality, Hinduism has covered everything. But unfortunately, the things that are being taught in the name of Hindu religion, these are just pop talks, not even popular talks, pop talks. And like they'll say that if you do this, you will have that. If you do this, you will have that. No, that's not Hindu religion. Now, before we get into all this, we need to understand basic things. That name of the course is Indian Spiritual Heritage. Reason being, India indeed is the land of spirituality. For example, some of you may say that for about Israel or Middle East, from where Judaism came, Christianity came, Islam came, and Iran, which is nearby, Zoroastrianism came. Indeed, no doubt. But India has maintained a very strong tradition of religion, and this tradition goes back thousands of years. No one knows for sure, because some historians will say that it's 3,000, 4,000 years old, which is not true. According to Swami Vivekananda, the Vedic tradition has to be at least 8 to 10,000 years old. It might be older even. And Hindu religion itself directly has given birth to two very important religions: Jain religion, that is Jainism, and the religion of the Buddhists, Buddhism. In fact, as we proceed, you will see that Buddhism is just a small fragment of Hindu religion. And that's why Swami Vivekananda call it the rebel child of Hinduism. And of course, there is Sikhism. It's very difficult to say whether Sikhism is a separate religion or not. But nowadays, they want themselves to be treated as separate. But there are lots of common things between Hindu Dharma and Sikhism. So this tradition is so old, and that's why most people like to call themselves Sanatanis, Sanatan Dharma, the eternal religion. Why they call themselves Sanatani, why they call themselves Hindu, etc., we will be discussing in the next talks. But before that, we need to understand what, what is science, how science is different from religion, what exactly is religion, and what is spirituality. Dear scholars, we have this page here, but you did not focus on this page, because if you start focusing on this page, the ideas will get lost. And if you want, you can take down notes, but it's better not to go through this paper. You can read it later because it will be shared in the Google Sheet. Now, first, we need to understand, think of this pen, or you can think of a flower or any object that you want. Now, you want to know it. How to know? How to know a flower, or how to know this pen? There are two ways of knowing it. Put simply, it can be called the way of science and the way of silence. It's very interesting, these two terms, science and silence. By the way, you will not find everything in this paper, because I speak extempore. I have the broad ideas, but these papers that you will be getting after every talk, they will contain the gist of whatever I am talking. Silence and science. How science works? Well, whenever you give an object to a scientist or a group of scientists, you'll find that they will generalize it, they will analyze it, they will measure it, compare it, etc., etc. And possibly they will put it in equation form, or maybe in some principle form. And a model is formed of all the knowledge that has been gathered, every analysis that has been made. For example, when we say theory of relativity, it is just a model to explain the universe. And tomorrow you may have a better model. Well, that is the way of science. And how religion works? The method of silence. You focus your mind on the object, and the focusing of this mind is sometimes known as contemplation, and sometimes it's known as meditation. So let's think of this pen, and we will be using this example pretty frequently. Think of this pen. You start focusing your mind. Focusing your mind means you won't let your mind go into different modes. That means you won't let any sense data enter through your five senses. You won't let your memory swamp you. You won't let imagination or any other kind of thinking, wild thinking, away from this pen or flower that you have been thinking. And you will be thinking only about this pen. Now you are getting into silent mode. You become more silent and further silent. And then from contemplation, you move to meditation. Meditation is when you can focus your mind for maybe more than 12 seconds. Contemplation is little less. Well, different books define these things differently. In Yoga Sutras, which we will be studying at later stage, Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, also known as Swami Vivekananda's Raj Yoga, there says that contemplation is for 12 seconds, and 12 such contemplations make one dhyana meditation. But these are technical things, we need not get into that. The most important thing is that when you start contemplating on it and you really go deep into it, suddenly you will find that layers of its reality get revealed. The first of these is tanmatras. This is a technical term, tanmatra. Tanmatra means the data that enter us through our five senses. So this pen may have different kinds of elements. So different kinds of elements might have been combined to make this pen or flower or whatever. However, whether you are using 20 different elements or 100 different elements, or this universe may be composed of 110 different elements, maybe 200, 500, someday may come when we will find that, well, it has 500 elements. Whatever the number of elements, your knowledge will be strictly based on what you get through your five senses. The composition, the external composition, as far as elements, etc., is concerned, which we mentioned earlier, that's the job of science, that's not the job of religion. Because religion goes by the method of silence, not by science. Now, yoga philosophy says that if you continue to concentrate further, you will know the inner structure of these sense data, that is tanmatras. And then finally, you will realize that this pen is just a mental idea. And if you can really focus your mind to that extent, you will gain yogic powers. Now, don't ask me if I have those yogic powers. No, I don't have. And through those yogic powers, you can create any kind of pen. And if you can get rid of the idea of pen and focus only on mind, when mind itself becomes the object of your meditation, you become master of the entire universe as far as mind is concerned. But there ends your meditation. You cannot go beyond it. So if a scientist has been meditating, which they don't, so even if they are meditating and they go very deep into it, maximum that they can reach is the state of the cosmic mind, the universal mind. However, if your object of meditation is consciousness, that is pure conscious principle. Now, before we continue further, let me make it very clear. Nowadays, it has become a fad. It's extremely fashionable to talk about consciousness. And these people, they don't even understand what is consciousness. What the modern science, persons like Roger Penrose and some of our own popular speakers are talking about consciousness, they are basically talking only about sensations. So there's a fundamental difference between consciousness and sensations. Sensation is the creation of the mind. Sensation belongs to the realm of the mind. Consciousness is beyond the empire of the mind. Consciousness, we will be learning more of it as we proceed. So, when your object of concentration is consciousness in the form of, say, God, so if you are meditating, say, on God, and most of you might have taken mantra diksha, or you might have some guru might have told you to meditate on some form of God, then the result of that meditation is entirely different. Then there also you will be crossing the level of tanmatras and meditation. But beyond that, you realize that there is that one conscious reality which is the source and the master of all. It's not only the source of all, it's also the master of all. So, for example, when you study science, you become a master of science, and you realize that there are 110 elements or whatever the number. You know the source of matter from those elements, but they do not become master. There is not one master. Even when you go to subatomic physics like electron, proton, and from there to quarks, etc., they don't become master of the universe. But when you go to the conscious principle, you realize that it is the source, substratum, and master of the universe. But that consciousness is beyond mind. And that's why you cannot describe the nature of that reality. This is a very tricky thing, and we will be coming back to this point repeatedly as we proceed. For now, just remember this. Whenever we think of any object, whenever we think of any idea or anything, they all belong to the realm of the mind. God, pure consciousness, Brahman, Atman, these all are one and they all belong beyond mind. Mind is just a creation of them, and it's a very small fragment of that, as we shall see as we proceed. So, once a person reaches that state, I mean, anyone can reach, even you can reach. One who reaches is known as a saint, a sage. And depending on the kind of knowledge they have, the power that they acquire, we realize that they're more than sages, they're prophets. And in very exceptional cases, we say that they're avatar, they're incarnations, because they have much more power than ordinary sages. We will be discussing these things in detail. It's not the end of it. So, is it true? This idea of consciousness? Yes, it is true. Why? When you meditate and you go really deep, very deep, you will actually experience this, and then you will realize that that alone exists. There's a technical term for that in Sanskrit. Sat, Sat, Sata, it means existence, pure existence. It's undulated existence. It's one unified existence. And it's of the nature of consciousness. And it's pure joy. And these three are one and the same. Depending on how you are looking at it, it may appear to you as pure existence, pure knowledge, or pure joy. Surprisingly, I mean, those of you who may have this question that whatever I am talking doesn't make much of a sense, because ultimately for that one has to go for deep meditation, etc. etc. No, no, no. We find the play of these three. Actually, these three are just the three aspects of one reality. Everywhere, everywhere. For example, when a mom loves her baby, it's love. We mentioned existence, consciousness, joy. Joy is love. So when you love something, is that a love aspect showing? When you are watching even third grade serials, third grade movies, forget about learning higher things, forget about studying scriptures. Even when you are studying very ordinary things, somewhere you are aspiring for knowledge, which is known as Chaitanya. It's the aspect of Chaitanya which is playing as knowledge. When a robber commits a robbery, he commits because he feels that his life is connected with the wealth that he can loot, rob. That means he wants to survive the struggle for existence. So, whatever is being done, everything that we do, for example, when you are listening to these talks, you are aspiring for knowledge. Apparently, you will say that you are aspiring for spirituality. No, you are actually aspiring for knowledge, because spirituality is not different from these three aspects of pure existence, which is existence, knowledge, joy. And under normal conditions, what we experience is limited in time and space. That means when a mom loves her baby, it's a manifestation of God only, but in a limited form. When you let it expand, when you make it infinite, then it becomes pure love, and that pure love is God. When you are studying some subject, it's aspiration for consciousness, that is knowledge aspect of God. When you take it beyond time and space, beyond the confines of a book, you are one with God. When you are struggling to have a meaningful life, when you are struggling for your security, you are struggling for your existence. When you take this existence, when you experience, when you realize the infinite existence which is one with you, you have become spiritual. So there is no Cartesian divide. That means not that worldly life is one and spiritual life is different. Worldly life simply means limited, confined in time and space. Spirituality means unlimited in time and space. There is absolutely no other difference between worldly life and spirituality. When your joy is limited, when the love that you get is limited, when the knowledge that you are having is limited, when the struggle for your existence is limited, you are a worldly person. When these are unlimited, you are a spiritual person. When you are striving for that, when you are struggling to be like that, even in that case, it's known as spirituality. That means the moment you become conscious of this truth, you become conscious of this reality, and you start your journey on moving from the finite to the infinite in these three aspects of existence, knowledge, bliss, you are becoming spiritual. So, well, that is in brief what is spirituality and how do you become spiritual and what happens So whether you agree or not, I just mention it, that the supreme reality, the consciousness, is in play all the time. It's not that God is somewhere high up in the heaven and we are here left to struggle with the common things. No. Whatever we are doing, whatever we are speaking, whatever we are hearing, I mean, in short, whatever we are doing, it's just our struggle for that supreme reality. Only that it's limited in time and space. The thing is, you people are serious people. You want to know about spirituality very seriously. So I can afford to talk to you like this. But can I talk all this to a common person? Can I talk all this to a young student, a young scholar? No, I cannot. So the world has 7 billion or 8 billion population. How many of them can understand whatever I've been talking? No, they cannot. So, plus, the society is different depending on the geography and time. Society is different. So, to apply spirituality in a particular society or to a particular set of minds, you you evolve a system, and that system will have do's and don'ts. You should do this and don't do this. All these things form a religion. That means religion is the dynamic aspect of spirituality in a society. This is the fundamental difference. Spirituality is the basis. For example, when our Lord Jesus Christ, he realized the truth about Father in heaven. He realized it, no doubt about it. And when the truths that he talked, which you find in Bible, when it was made dynamic, applicable to a society, it became religion. And that's what Christianity is. Same about Hindu Dharma. Vedanta. Vedanta is the core spirituality. When applied to the people of certain mindset, those who are in a particular geographical setup, it becomes Hindu Dharma. Now, this is the definition of religion. However, as we shall see, when we say Hinduism or Buddhism or Islam, every religion contains the core of its spiritual truths. So you cannot separate Hindu spirituality from Hindu religion, because Hindu religion is like, say, a mango fruit or any fruit that you can think of. Now, when you think of any fruit, you think of the whole. It has the seed, it has the main pulp, and it also has the peel, that external cover. Religion is the whole. Spirituality is like the pulp. Spirituality is like the pulp. Now, nowadays it has become kind of a truism. Particularly the young people, they keep on telling, oh, I am spiritual, I am not religious. The funny thing is, neither they understand what is religion nor they understand spirituality. To think, to think that spirituality can exist without religion is naive. You simply cannot have spirituality without religion, nor can religion be there without spirituality, because religion without spirituality. So, if somebody says that science is my religion, no, science cannot be your religion. Somebody says humanism is my religion, no, humanism cannot be your religion. It can be your way of life, it can be your ideal, but it cannot be religion, because to be is for a system to be religious, it must have spirituality at its core. And spirituality always means the struggle to become infinite as far as existence, knowledge, and bliss is concerned. Science can never give you infinite knowledge, nor can give you infinite bliss, nor can give you infinite existence. Science cannot make any person live for eternity. No, it cannot. Only spirituality can. How? By making you realize that you are divine. So, and as we shall see as we proceed, that when core spirituality is applied to different geographical bounds and different minds, religions will be different. The problem is that people who are following religion, they don't understand these fundamental truths. And that's why they are quarreling. So we find that there used to be jihad and there used to be holy war and there used to be this. But as far as Hindu religion is concerned, we knew that ultimately God alone is truth. And that God can be seen in different ways. So we never had fights based strictly on religion, on the basis of religion. Now, there's a very interesting thing that nowadays many popular speakers try to say that is religion scientific, and people ask how science and religion are related, etc. Our Swami Vivekananda, he talked about the unification of science and Vedanta, but he talked from a different perspective, and people who are talking, they're talking from an entirely different perspective. They don't understand what Swamiji was trying to say. Here, just understand this thing. In the beginning, we mentioned that when you want to know the nature of an object, and that includes the universe, there's a limit, the limit that you cannot break. It's something like those of you who understand physics a bit, you will know that when they talk about Big Bang, so equations collapse when they reach the point of singularity because distance becomes zero. And you cannot divide anything with zero and have any meaningful result. Mind is something like that. Every thought of yours, every thought of Einstein is totally confined within the realms of the mind. And true spirituality begins only when you have broken through the barrier of the mind. What you know, we will be discussing later. Then how do you know that you know something? We explained a bit and we will be explaining as we proceed. So there is a limit to science, and spirituality is something entirely different. However, for any system, knowledge system, now they're talking about ecosystems, for
Maharaji,
every knowledge, yes,
sorry for interruption. People are not able to join because of sad. Probably the maximum limit is set for 100 people only.
is it, Vikram? No, there is no limit.
They are showing some error, other
Oh,
things in the group also. Indrani and others are not able to join.
just a second. Oh, huh. Oh, he has asked me to continue and he's checking if there is some limit. So, whenever we are talking about any knowledge system, every knowledge system has to explain three things: the universe in which we are, and life, that means the soul, and reality, the ultimate reality. That is world, soul, and God. Science doesn't accept God. It doesn't have to believe in soul. Indeed, it doesn't have to. There's a very famous saying, of course, they say that uh, it's a made up story. There was a great mathematician, Leibniz, and it said that he was the first to find the secrets of calculus. So he contributed this theory of calculus, which is now a very important tool in mathematics. So Newton and Leibniz, Newton was there, and Newton was also into mathematics and physics. In one of his letters, probably Newton said that, I hear that you have not credited your work to God. And said that Leibniz replied, I don't need that hypothesis. So it's such a funny thing. And this modern science, which is bereft of spirituality and is completely bereft of God, etc., is mostly the contribution of the French people. After French Revolution, they wanted to get rid of everything that was not observable. So they don't discuss God and soul. Whereas religion and spirituality, they focus a lot on God and soul, because their goal is, the goal of every religion is to go beyond the empire of the mind. So if you have to ask questions like, does science accept religion as true, or is religion only about faith? These are meaningless questions. And on social media and all, you find so many meaningful discussions going on. Because the day science accepts religion as true, you know that there is something seriously wrong with that religion. It would simply mean that that religion has been confined from the state of pure consciousness to the empire of the mind. That means from being the study of the infinite, it has become the object of the finite mind. Such a great insult. Such a great insult. As far as Hindu Dharma is concerned, Vedanta is concerned, no, these are not at all valid questions. They have no meaning. So, how do you become spiritual? You take some basic principles. You don't have to take the whole of it. Just take some basic principles and move ahead. As you move ahead, you will see that ideas are becoming more and more clear to you. Depending on what kind of mind you have, the mentality, the kind of teacher you had, the kind of studies you made, your path may be totally different from the person next to you. Your path may be different from my path. Broadly, these paths can be categorized into four, as Swamiji did: Karma Yoga, Raj Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. However, if you combine these paths, you will find that there are infinite number of paths. Like in this world, there are only three primary colors, and we see the infinite number of colors. Hindu religion believes in three gunas: sattva, rajas, tamas. The whole of universe is combination of these three gunas. And here you have four paths, so you can imagine the number of paths that there can be in a religion or in a spirituality. However, another way of looking at these paths is, as we have mentioned here, rituals, conducts, prayer, and core spirituality, meditating on God. Those who believe in worshipping of God, as you find in most religions, like a Christian goes to a church and a Muslim has its own rituals. They believe that through these rituals they can connect with God. And similarly, this code of conduct, you feel that what your prophet has said or what a sage has said, if you behave according to their instructions, you will become pure and pure. And finally, your mind will become fit to receive the ultimate knowledge, the knowledge of God. And similarly, many believe, particularly in India, that if you simply listen to the chants or listen to the spiritual stories that are there, say in Ramayana, Mahabharata, Puran, etc., that itself is enough for you to get the grace of God. So all these things can be combined and recombined, and there can be any number of paths. In the next talks, we will be discussing on these things in much more detail. This is just kind of an introduction. So, famous question, is religion of any relevance? Indeed, it is, because it gives you peace. It gives you a very clear perception. And surprisingly, you won't believe, it gives you prosperity. You might wonder, for example, Christianity, the core principles of those who become monks, that means those who become spiritual, for them is chastity, poverty, obedience. If you become a Buddhist monk, follow? Huh? That means next talk. Sorry, there is some problem with our license, so they are not allowing 100. From the next talk, he says it will be all right. And your understanding becomes much more clear if you become a religious person. Sorry. So if you have, if Buddhists are talking about giving up everything, even Hindu monks who are the ultimate ideals of spirituality, they give up everything. So how can you say that there can be prosperity? Yes, religion gives you peace. It gives you prosperity. It gives you a very clear perception because we stay disturbed. Our mind is always in a state of turbulence because we are running after 1,000 things. But once you become religious, slowly your mind starts focusing on certain things, particularly on God. It starts giving you peace. And because of the focused mind that you have, your perception becomes much more clear. And prosperity, you see, prosperity comes when your mind is focused. And to make your mind focused, there are ethical systems, there are code of conduct. And there are many different kinds of code of conduct. But the best code of conduct that we have is from religion. You may say about what about these many rich people of America who are minting money and this and that. Well, there can always be one or two exceptions, but that does not make the rule. There is a fact. There is a very famous story, my favorite story. When one monk, Buddhist monk, went to Japan to preach the principles of Lord Buddha, the king said, okay, I am giving you my minister for 6 months. And if his prosperity increases in 6 months, we all will become Buddhists. So that gentleman, the minister, he followed the principles given by Buddhistic philosophy. Indeed, his condition improved. This is a story. This may be true. This may not be true. That doesn't matter. But the idea remains. When, if you are asked to name 5 persons who have been very famous and those who belong to at least 100 years ago, you will see that the names that come to your mind, they're all spiritual persons like Jesus and all, Buddha. Because when you practice religion, when you become spiritual, you no more remain a person, you become a personality. And at the higher level, you become a principle. Lord Jesus Christ, he was neither a person nor a personality. He was an idea. He was a principle. So, well, that's why we need religion, because it makes your life meaningful, it makes your life pleasant. Now, coming back to why Hinduism, why is Hindu Dharma special? This is a very interesting topic, and that's why we are having this series of talks. Hinduism stands for freedom and universal acceptance, as we will see. Its goal is to make person free at every level: physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. And as we proceed, you will see that our own scriptures will say that the goal of your life is to go beyond these scriptures. That means there is nothing that can hold you down to the realm of the mind. Because Hinduism is truly, Hindu religion is truly the worshipper of the infinite. And by infinite, we don't mean big, we don't mean powerful, we mean infinite. That which cannot be made limited even by the purest of the mind. And that's why we believe that There can be any number of paths to reach that infinite, because infinite means infinite. You can, larger the object, more paths will there be to reach to the top. And if it's infinite, well, every path is open. And very interesting thing about Hindu religion is that it's highly adaptable, because its core remains intact and its application is highly dynamic. Now, compared with monotheistic religions like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, and even its rebel children like Buddhism and Jainism and Sikhism, Hinduism has massive specialties, some of which I have mentioned here, and you'll find very interesting points that everything that is there in other religions is there in Hindu Dharma. However, Hindu Dharma does not accept the. We had begun our talks with, is Hinduism synonymous with religion? No, it's not, because Hinduism does not accept monotheistic approach, and hence there can be no fanaticism in Hindu religion. When you say that this is the path, Hindus will never say. It will say just a path. That's very important, and that's why when you find that conversions that take place because of advertisement and conversions that take place because of aggressiveness is lacking in Hindu Dharma. Hindus neither advertise as far as religion is concerned, nor they are ever aggressive. And that's why it's a point of great wonder how Hinduism has succeeded in surviving for so long when Hinduism has been under attack constantly. There is neither any search for the evil or the devil as you find in monotheistic religions. Neither we have the idea of sin or the idea of original sin. So these things belong to various religions and they form the cardinal principles of certain religions, but not in Hindu religion. And because of these things, there is some kind of intellectual dishonesty. There was a time when I was deeply interested in studying Western philosophy. And suddenly I realized that I was having great difficulty understanding. I realized that practically the whole of Western philosophy, particularly the medieval philosophy, is just based on proving certain points based on the Bible, which itself is based on certain limited ideas. And I lost interest in that. Outside that, we have high points of Hindu Dharma. Some of these are mentioned here, that every god and goddess is the fact, it's true, because they are the form of the infinite. We'll be studying more of this. And you are divine, so you are one with God. This is a cardinal teaching of Hindu Dharma. Interestingly, this makes you responsible for your good and bad. You don't have God and Satan. You are responsible for your good and you are responsible for your bad. So you have to behave accordingly. You have to aspire for it. And there is no external power to control you. So you have to have self-dependence. Don't expect that God will come and help you in this and that. I mean, these are okay. It's okay to console someone. But the fact is that ultimately it's you. Repeatedly in every scripture, you will find these ideas being repeated. Now, what passes off in the name of Hindu religion is mostly made of things, the diluted things. So you have to aspire for freedom, mental freedom, emotional freedom, all kinds of freedom. Shouldn't be carrying extra luggage, no extra baggage for you under no condition. And you are the highest and the best. Whatever is there in this world is your manifestation. So you have to respect all. You cannot look down upon anyone. You have to respect yourself. You have to respect others all the time. Similarly, heaven or hell, these are temporary things. These are not your destination. You don't have to worry about it. Whatever you have to do here and now. You don't have to wait to die to go to heaven or etc. And for the same reason, actually, indeed, you are free of every fear, pain, sorrow, etc. To conclude, all power and knowledge are within you. You have to just wake them up. Well, this is in brief of what Hindu Dharma stands for. However, there are serious problems in the study of Hindu religion. First of this is a huge number of books. Truly, as we shall see in the next talks, there's a huge number of books, and it's impossible for anyone to study all those books. That's why I wrote one small book, The Hindu Way. This small book, it covers every essential aspect of Hindu religion. It's a very good book. It's available easily on Amazon. And my pen name is Samarpan. You can find this book, and you'll get lots of ideas from that book. Second problem is that Hinduism is a religion, it's also a society. And because it's a religion and a society, and a very old religion and a very old society, their practices intermingle. Sometimes the religious things come to the society, sometimes things of the society go to religion. This complicates matter, as you will see. Paper. For example, caste system. Caste is a social system. It has nothing to do with religion. And somehow people have hooked caste things with religion. Caste has nothing to do with religion. And no religious book of the Hindus will ever say that people of different castes will go to different heavens, or they will have different kind of mukti, that is liberation. They don't. More of it when we study Manusmriti, etc. Similarly, we had this sacred thread ceremony. Now it is only the upper caste people put it. It's a religious practice, but nowadays it has become a social practice. Although sprinkle of religion and rituals are there, but actually it has become a social practice. Similarly, marriages. Marriage is a strictly religious practice. Nowadays, it become highly social. So things, social practices tend to move to religion, and religious ideas tend to move towards society, and then they go back. These things make study of Hindu Dharma a bit complicated. There have been some writers, particularly from the West, who have been writing pretty ill things about Hindu Dharma. That's mostly because they confuse between Hindu, the society, and Hindu, the religious system. Well, with that, I end this talk. But before I end, I would like to thank some of very important persons who have really helped us in making this project successful. First of these is Mr. Ajay Nayak. He's a former Indian Administrative Service officer. He's now retired. So he had been encouraging me hugely to go ahead with writing and talks. And it's his encouragement that has made me write some books and deliver some of these talks. You will find these talks on Indian Spiritual Heritage channel on YouTube. Then there is Mr. Ajay Ranade. He is an Indian Police Service IPS officer. It was he who first encouraged me, forced me into starting YouTube channel. And he got us a camera worth 1 lakh, which is in 2017. That's how our channel began. So these two persons have been hugely responsible. As far as this particular project is concerned, I bow my head in all reverence to Swami Atmapriyanji Maharaj, Srimad Swami Atmapriyanji Maharaj. Earlier, he was the vice chancellor of this university. He is now the pro chancellor of the university. He wanted that we start this course, and he had been asking me for many years, and somehow we did not have the proper infrastructure. And this was made possible by three persons. One is Mr. Bikram, who is sitting by my side and helping me in this project. Bikram, you can show your face. They love it. Come, come, come. So he is here. So he's a technical person, so he can do it directly. He's sitting here. He's helping us. And then there is Mr. Saurabh. Here is Bikram. So he will be helping us in these Zoom talks. And if there is any technical glitch, blame it on him. I don't understand much of nothing of these things. Then there is Mr. Saurabh, who has been looking after the office side of this series of talks. and he has his colleague, Mr. Abhishek. So I offer my profuse thanks to all of you and to my these dear ones who has made this series of talks possible. Thank you very much. So we have a few minutes. I can extend the talk for 5 minutes. In case you have any question based on what we discussed, mind it, it's just a broad overview of what we are going to have. So as you continue with us on this journey, you will see that what a great treasure of spirituality Hindu religion contains. This Indian spiritual tradition is so huge, so vast. I'm sure you will love it. You just have to have patience for 2 to 3 talks. If you can hold on till then, I'm sure you will. You'll fall in love with this Indian spiritual traditions. Thank you so much. In case anyone has any question, please ask. So we stop this share now. So license or license upgrading has been done. I am so sorry that some of you could not join, and but from next time we won't have you won't have any problem. So there was some kind of miscommunication. So in case, see, you don't have to ask questions just for asking questions. And oh, Nina Mukherjee says your insights were wonderful. Just Nina, madam, I would like to say that uh, it was very kind of Srimad Swami Suhitanji Maharaj, and I've been his student since 1972, and then I joined with him in 1980, and I have been with him when I have been kind of his understudy for so many years now. So he posted me to this university way back in 2005. So, and Swami Atmapriyanji was kind enough to accept me here. I've been here for 20 years, and for the last 20 years, I've been only with this subject. Earlier, this was one of the subjects that I was studying, but now I'm totally into Indian spiritual heritage. So it's not just insight, like I've been deep into it. And well, I'm sure you will love this series of talks. You just have to have patience for a few days. What's the difference between emotional, mental, and spiritual freedom? Okay, we will explain it as we proceed from Amar Jyoti Roy. See, we will explain when we talk about Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Emotional is when you fall for something, you say that I want it, or you want to run away from that. This is emotional thing. And spiritual freedom is you're free from the fear of heaven and hell. You're free from your dependence on God. And mental is you have to transcend the level of the mind. Huh. Any other question? Please keep your question confined to the topic that we had. Because as we proceed, you will see that everything that is in your mind has been addressed and addressed beautifully. So just don't talk just for the heck of asking. How to differentiate between religion and blind belief? Blind belief is not my job, madam. Religion, I will be telling you what is religion, and you stick to that, so you will not be into blind belief. Interestingly, the same thing Narendranath, Swami Vivekananda had asked Sri Ramakrishna, and Sri Ramakrishna had answered beautifully. Belief is always blind. You cannot say that. Belief sometimes has eyes and sometimes doesn't have eyes. Belief itself is blind. So when we believe that scientists have discovered something, it's belief. And there's also blind belief. When you begin your spiritual journey, you have to have faith. For example, when you were young, 2, 3 year old, your mom told that this gentleman is your father. Now, not every kid goes to have DNA examined. The world runs on faith. The world runs on faith. When you go to study in school, teacher teaches you history and geography. You don't go on asking questions. For example, Indian history itself, if you go to Pakistan, they teach a different kind of history. In Bangladesh, they teach another kind of history, and now they are changing even that. So, well, but students do not go on asking what is correct. Can we call Hinduism as Sanatan? Of course, we can call Hinduism as Sanatan. This will be discussed in the next talk, why Hinduism is known as Sanatan. Maharaj, oh, we follow lots of rule. But how no, it's Tamal Basu. I will appreciate you to read my book, The Hindu Way. There, everything has been made very clear what to follow and what not to follow. Now, we will be explaining that in next 2 3 talks, what to follow and what not to follow, what makes you a Hindu, and what is not in Hindu dharma, etc. Yes, Maharaj, Hinduism don't say any heaven or hell, which is ultimate. Mother says it's true or final. This question is not coming out fully. Quick, Atunusa, chat. Hmm. Oh my God, there are lots of chat. Doesn't say heaven, but does say it's true of final destination. So how can Thakur Bani, Jato Mato to ha, we will be seeing this. Heaven and hell, these are just passing phases. They are just like when you take a train journey, you pass certain stations, sometimes some junctions, and at junctions, trains stop for a longer period. Heaven and hell are places where you stop for a longer period, nothing more than that. So, thank you so much. I'm sure you don't have many questions. If you have, you can. Is there any Muslim joining this program? Yes, we have one. The gentleman is from Andhra Pradesh. I just chanced to see. Indeed, there is one Muslim. He is forgetting his name, but he is from Andhra Pradesh. And I think he's a devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. He mentioned that. The notes will be, yes, yes, in 2 minutes. Just let me finish this talk, and within 2 3 minutes, the note will be shared with you. Thank you so much. Oh, wow. Devashish Konar, you have thanked. Devashish Konar happens to be a great psychiatrist. And if you have any psychiatric problem, because people who come into spirituality, they develop some problems, you can contact him. So thank you so much. Thank you, all of you, and hope to see you next Friday again, same time, same place. Namaskar. Namaskar.